All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And in this lesson, I want to deal with a particular topic. Was based on a question that was asked, dealing with Noah, all right, and the Gentiles. Okay, and basically, you know, the question was an inquiry as to if Noah and his three sons and their wives were the only ones that were um, saved, all right, eight souls that were saved in the time of the flood, then where did the Gentiles come from, right? Where did the rest of the Gentiles come from? And it wasn't asked in like a scoffing way, all right, which, I thought about it and, I could have given a direct answer, but I figured that there's some edification that could come from doing a lesson covering, this question. All right. And that's why I have here the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. All right. Because when you read throughout, particularly the book of the book of Genesis, it goes into the line, all right, where you're able to follow the chosen line and track, all right, where the because at the end of the day, yes, we all do come from Adam, all right, and when you forward to the time of Noah, technically we all do come from Noah as well, all right. However, there's a split, all right, between the nations that come out of Noah, all right, and the Lord does do that, all right, to where you can have two nations come from one man, okay, as was the case with Isaac, all right, where you had Jacob and Esau, all right, come from Isaac. Although Jacob and Esau are two different nations, all right, of Jacob come the Israelites, and of Esau comes the Edomites, all right, but they both come from Isaac. So this is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 54. It says, after these things, now this is the prophet Ezra basically speaking to the angel. Um, and he sort of does like this, some like a recap of the history. All right. So he goes in here to make his point. That is, he says, after these things, Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen, right? Because of Adam, you had a whole variety of people, but of all of them, you had the chosen line. Okay, when a man has multiple sons, right? In the case of, for example, Noah, the Lord then decides which son is the chosen line going to be preserved through, or is the chosen line going to continue from? All right. And this is more so at the time of the creation and establishing of the nations. Okay. Because the reason the Lord had it to where of one man you can have multiple nations was because at that time it was a genesis, right? A beginning. So there had to be some things, measures that needed to be taken to establish, all right, certain grounds before the other particular ordinances could then be put into place, all right, as the norm, right? You first need to establish the norm and then you continue on. An example is in the book of in the first chapter, you have light before you have the sun and the moon, right? But when the sun and the moon were created, they then took over that role of providing the light, the greater light in the day, which is the sun, and the lesser light in the night, which is the moon. Okay. Um, just like before sex was instituted, you had pretty much all the living creatures come out from the waters because there had to be some beginning and then a way to continue that, right? So I'm going to deal with this now. I started off here. And I want to go here to the book of Genesis, because now you have the descendants of Adam, right? And when you read the scriptures, you notice that it gives you just enough external information about what's going on, the people around, and all of that good stuff. And then it mainly zooms in or focuses in on the main characters, all right, at the particular moment. Just like when you're watching a movie, the movie may start and it may show maybe the whole earth, then it may show the particular city where the main character, the protagonist, right, where he lives. And it may show other people, it may show cars going by, people trying to run for the bus, the halal guy down the street, you know what I mean? And then eventually the scene switches to the actual main character, who you're going to be following throughout the story, right? So that's basically like how the Bible works. There's parts in there that it gives you context as to, what's going on, and then it starts to focus in on who is going to be the main actual character, right? So in this case, it's Adam. So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day that the Most High, or that I should say, that God created man." Now, Genesis, when you read the book of Genesis, it's very, very important that you understand at least basic Hebrew, all right? Because the proper understanding of the book of Genesis, in order to receive that, you need to understand the meaning of the words that are used. All right. You can't just say, well, I'm speaking English right now, so I'm reading it in English. So that's how I'm going to interpret it, or else certain things just won't add up. All right. Now, when you read the book of Genesis, especially from the first chapter on, some of the important keywords you need to understand in the Hebrew are the word God. Okay. The word God is very important because it when one that doesn't know the Hebrew word for God that is used has a completely different understanding of the book of Genesis than one that does. When you read Genesis, the first chapter, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? Now, if you don't know, if you see that, you say, okay, oh, the God. So somebody asks you, well, who created the heaven and the earth? You say God. They'll say the Most High God. They'll say, yes, yeah, the Most High. It says God. But now, when you understand that, when you actually go right into the Hebrew, and you look up the word God in the Hebrew, here you have Alahayim, right? That's the word right there. Alahayama. But the ya and the ma are joined at the end. So you have Alahayim, which is plural, right? This word Alahayim is plural. So that's one reason why you need to understand the Hebrew, because now you know if it's singular or if it's plural, right? The singular the singular would be Allah. The plural would be Alahayim. They both mean powers, right? Or divine ones, or judges, or rulers. So when you see the word God, Salakia, when you see the word God, it could be talking about the angels, it could be talking about Yahushai, right, the Messiah, or it could be talking about the Most High, because all of them are, or even Israelites, right? Because pertaining to Psalms 82 and 6, because the Most High, Yahushai, the angels, they're all gods, they're all powers, right? They're all divine entities. Okay. So sometimes you'll see it'll say Lord God, right? Lord in all caps, and then God, which is saying the Most High, right? Yahweh power, right? Or the Most High. So it's letting you know which God is this, right? You have the Most High God, then you have the angels, which are a lesser God under the Most High. So you need to understand the Hebrew. All right. Now, when you look up Alahayim, this tells you that, of course, we're talking about judges, divine ones here, but we're also talking about plural, right? So when you read and you go into the Hebrew, you say, wait, that's plural. Now, if they translated it perfectly, right, or more accurately, what it would say is, in the day that the gods created man. That's what it would say. If you were to translate it from the Hebrew to English, it really should say the gods or the powers, right? That's really how it should be read in English. And that changes the meaning completely, because now you're saying, wait, hold on. So it's not the Most High Himself, one being that did this, but actually the gods, the powers, which in this case would be Yahushua and the angels. Then you start to understand it a bit more. Okay, but the point of this lesson is not to really go into the Hebrew, but just to show you why it's important to understand some Hebrew. Okay, so it says here, Genesis, and that's why when you read throughout Genesis 1, you'll see it'll say, and now in English it'll say, and God saw that it was good, right? But when you actually read it with understanding, is really the powers saw that it was good. Tawab in the Hebrew is good, right? Now, what was it good according to? It was good according to whatever instructions or blueprint they were given, right? The Most High gave them basically the structure on what the creation should look like. What should the sun look like and be like? What should the moon look like and be like? And after they do it, then they'd say that it was good because it was according to the plan of the Most High. Interestingly enough, the Most High's name doesn't even appear in the first chapter. Yet there is some creation going on, so somebody's doing it, right? But anyway, Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day that the powers created man in the likeness. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to read it verbatim. All right, but at least I've explained a bit about the word God there. Okay, so it says, in the likeness of God made he him, male and female created he them, and blessed them and called their name Adam, which shows you right there that at the time of creation it wasn't just one individual man and one individual woman. All right, because here it tells you that male and female were created, right? And both male and female were called Adam, as you can see, right? Male and female created he them and blessed them, this is plural, and called their name Adam. Male and female were both called Adam in the day that they were created. But as you read later on, you come to find out that there's somebody called Eve. Then you say, wait, hold on a second. I thought male and female were called Adam. So where's Eve? Eve is somebody else coming? What's going on here? All right, but it goes to show you that at the time, what the Most High created, there were a bunch of people, all right, living, and they were all collectively known as Adam. Okay, you could call them Adamites, right? The suffix "ite" means pertaining to, or people of, or belonging to, right? Israelite, belonging to Israel, or people of Israel. Okay, and this explains where Cain gets his wife from, right? Because if it's just Adam and Eve, one man, one woman, where does Cain get his wife from? What's going on? And that's something these Christians can't explain to you. It's crazy how they'll tell us that we're wrong, but then you ask them, so explain that. I'm curious to know, what is a Christian's explanation for where Cain got his wife in the book of Genesis? All right, but verse 3, it says, and Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth. So now we're following the lineage, right? Now this is the chosen line, because Adam Adam had Abel and Cain, right? Cain and Abel. We know Cain slew Abel, but later on Adam was given Seth. Now Cain was wicked, right? But we know that the righteous line, which in future would bring forth those known as the Israelites, right, was through Seth. Okay, it says, after the days of Adam, and the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days of that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begat Canaan. So you had Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan. All right. It says, and Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalaleel. Now, this is not the Canaan, the father of the Canaanites, completely different one. All right. It says here, and Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalaleel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalaleel 840 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. So now we're down to Canaan. He's had Mahalaleel. It says, and Mahalaleel lived 65 years and begat Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begat Enoch. All right, so now we hear about Enoch. All right, it says, and Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah. All right. And when it says he walked with God, it means that the way he lived was after the ways of the Lord. All right. Because back at this time, they still knew, all right, the customs, in terms of the law. The law was practical. All right. They still knew what they had, what were the do's and the don'ts. All right. How they were governed. They were laws that they were governed by. All right. That's how they were able to perform certain sacrifices. All right. Certain things were still no-nos. And you'll find out as we keep going. Now it says, and Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Right. So you notice that it's really just focusing on the chosen line here, because he did begat sons and daughters, it says. All right. But it's just focusing on the chosen line. Right. And you don't hear about the mothers, right, or the daughters. You just hear about the sons, because that's how the lineage is counted, all right, through the seed, which is passed down by the male, right, the father. So it says here, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for the Most High took him, right? So he got, you could say, translated. It says, and Methuselah lived 187 years and begat Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord Yahweh hath cursed. I believe the name Noah means comfort or rest, which is Nach. All right, as they have here, Nach. All right, or Nawak, as you have, right? It says Nawak, which is the same, but you also have Nach. So it says here, and he begat Noah. All right, and it says, and Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So it says here that Noah was 500 years, and then from Noah we know we have now Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All right, so now you've seen from Adam all the way down through the chosen line, all the way down to Noah. All right. So now let's go real quick to Genesis chapter 6. Okay, and it's going to go into um, just a bit of information here. It says the sixth chapter is not really long. It says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, that daughters were born unto them. That it says, and daughters were born unto them. That the sons of God. Now the sons of God, all right, are is basically what the chosen, like the chosen were known as. They were known as the sons of God. Okay, at this time. Later on in the future, all right, we became known as the the Israelites, all right, or the children of Israel. But at this time, we were known as the sons of God because their men, right, or the families of the earth are classified into three categories. You have the sons of God, which are the Israelites, today known as the Israelites. You have the sons of men, right, which are the other nations, the heathens. Okay, and then you have a special classification of the heathen, which are the Edomites, okay, which are the sons of the wicked. All right, they are specifically known as the sons of the wicked because they are created to be the wicked of the earth. Malachi, the first chapter, the third verse. All right. So when you hear the sons of men or the daughters of men, that's talking about the heathen nations. Okay. And when you hear about the wicked or the sons of the wicked, all right, most of the time in the scriptures that's talking about the Edomites. I say most of the time because there are sometimes that is talking about Israelites, wicked Israelites. All right. But now it says here that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. So you had the sons of God started going in onto these heathen women, right? It says, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So now the span, the lifespan, all right, of man started to, the Lord basically cut it down. All right. Now, there are times in the scriptures when the Lord deals with exact time and others where it's not exact, okay? Because it says 120 years, but now you have today people live younger, right? Some people hit 80, 90, 70, you know? So there are times when the Most High deals with an exact, time. It doesn't mean that every single individual is going to live to exactly 120 years and then they're going to die, all right? Verse 4 says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in onto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Now, this is verse 4 is very important because this is another example of why you have to know the Hebrew as well. All right, because when you read this, it says that there were giants in the earth in those days, but it's not talking about, freaking I don't know, what I'm saying, like some um angels coming and sleeping with humans and creating these huge, ginormous, insanely big creatures, right? It's one step destroys a whole city kind of thing. No. All right. When you go into the word giants, you have here Napayal, right? Which they're going off here because they said it's giants, the Nephilim, right? And they like to basically say that those are like if I'm not mistaken, like the fallen ones, the fallen angels that slept with the humans and all that. Angels don't sleep with humans, all right? The act of sex is the glory of the terrestrial body, right? The glory of the earth. Okay. So now when you go into the root word, you have here of Napayal, you have Nepal, all right? The word Nepal, which is which should be the actual correct definition there, and is to fall. Okay. It says to fall, to cause to fall, to prostrate, to make the lot fall, to let drop, all right, to fall, to fail. Okay, and what this means is when it says the giants, it's talking about the fallen ones, right? Those that fell, which are the Israelites, or the sons of God, as they were known as then. Okay. So when it says they were giants in the earth, if this was also translated accordingly into English from the Hebrew, what you would really have is, or what it really should say is, um, verse 4, that there were the fallen ones, right, in those days. And what it means by fallen ones is us fallen from our glorious estate, because remember the scriptures say that man was made to be immortal. Okay. So, and that was the Israelite man. That's why when we were first created, we were immortal. But through disobedience, right, and through envy of the devil, death came into the world, and we fell from that. I believe in Genesis, the third chapter, it tells you, okay, that we basically lost that, and we were kicked out, right? And then now we were gonna die. We didn't live to a full day. Okay, we were gonna die in the sweat of our sweat where we eat bread and all of that. Okay, so we had fallen from that godlike estate that we were created originally in. All right, so that's who the quote unquote giants are talking about. All right, in those days or in that time, it says, and also after that, when the sons of God came in onto the daughters of men. So you had the chosen line, right? Started, popping the women of the other nations, that they bear children to them, because that's what happens when a man lays with a woman, they have a child. It says the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Why? Because the man carries the seed. So you had the chosen line, right, that slept with these women, but the babies that came forth of that union were still sons of God, because the seed that was put into the woman was that of a son of God. So the child that came out was a son of God. Just like today, if you have an Israelite man that puts a seed inside of a heathen woman, the child that comes of that is an Israelite. All right. So it's the same thing. It's just they weren't called Israelites back then, but the sons of God. All right. It says here, verse 5, and the Most High. Well, now here it says God, but you notice it's in all caps. And when you actually go into the word there, it's Yahweh. All right. When you read in the Bible, when you see the word Lord, Lord, in all caps, in the Hebrew, it's Yahweh, the name of the Most High. And when you see the word God in all caps, that in the Hebrew is also Yahweh. Okay, the name of the Most High. But going on, it says here, and the Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And so it was that flood behavior, right? Meaning that wickedness that they had before that caused the Lord to flood the earth. And that's the same thing you're seeing them do today, right? And now it's even worse. All right. It says, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the sight of, or in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations. And Noah walked with God. And Noah begat three sons: Shem, which in the Hebrew is Sham, which means name; Ham, which in the Hebrew is Chum, right, which means hot. So you get Kemet really goes back to Chum, which is hot. And you have Japheth, which in the Hebrew is Yapath, which is, I believe, enlarged. So these were the three sons of Noah. Now, of these three sons, the chosen line continued through Shem. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that from the Ham or from Ham, his descendants were Gentiles. Okay, today we know them as Gentiles. They're non-Israelites. All right, and of Japheth, all of Japheth's descendants are heathens. Okay, Gentiles. Now, when you come to Shem, even though you had the line go through Shem, not every descendant of Shem is an Israelite, right? So you also had some Gentiles that came from the line of Shem. That's why I'm doing this lesson to trace the exact line through Shem of which the Israelites come from. All right? But just know that from Noah, right? You had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now you can cross out Ham and Japheth because of them, all their descendants that will come from them are Gentiles. They're not Israelites. Or, they don't become Israelites, or they don't become to be known as Israelites. Right? Now, of Shem, through him, the seed or the chosen line continues. All right. So now we're going to focus on Shem as we continue on. It says the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence, and God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. All right, and then he basically instructs Noah on what to do. All right, building the ark and so on and so forth. Okay, so now let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 10, which is gonna be it's gonna go a bit more into the descendants of Noah. Okay, so now the question being, if Noah and his sons, right, and their wives were the only ones that were saved, where did the Gentiles come from? Right? Well, to answer it, Genesis chapter 10, verse 1, it says, now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood. Okay? Now we know everybody on the earth today comes from these three men, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All right? Because everybody else, after the flood, they were the only ones left to populate the earth. So everybody today goes back to these men. Now it says the sons of Japheth, right? Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tyrus. These are Gentiles. Okay? Because later on, as you go on down, I believe Madai is where you get the Medes, right? Those that were known as the Medes in the future, they go back to this man, or they come from this man Madai. All right, they're also Gentiles. Okay, and so on and so forth. Now you see a couple of these names: Gomer, Magog, Meshach, Tubal. They show up. Javan, right, which is Greece. Those that originally inhabited the lands, all right, of Europe and so on and so forth, they were Japhites originally, all right, but at some point they were driven out, and you had the Edomites that came in there. So you have certain people that say that the Edomites are sons of Japheth because they're in those lands now, but that's not the case. All right, they drove out the original inhabitants of those lands, and they took over. Same thing they did to us. All right, but it doesn't mean that just because they're in our land now that they are the actual Israelites. So it says, and the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Gentiles, Riphath, and Togamar, all Gentiles. It says, and the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, right, which is modern day Spain, Kittim, which is Cyprus, and Dodanim, all of them Gentiles. Now, you may have certain Israelites today who may be living amongst these people. Okay, you may be having Israelites living amongst them, right? Living in that land, modern day Spain or Cyprus or Turkey, all these different areas. All right, and they may look like them because they're living among them. They're still Israelites. They're just Israelites that are living in the land of the heathen. All right. So it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles, right? There you go. The isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. every one after his tongue, after their families in their nations. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, all Gentiles. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Sabta and Raamah and Sabtecha, and the sons of Raamah, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. Nimrod was a Cushite. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord Yahweh. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar, which is Mesopotamia, right? It says, out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah, and risen between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludim, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphtuhim, and Pathrusim, and Casluhim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caphtorim, and Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. And that's where you get the Hittites from. It says, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboaim, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. So they basically the scriptures just gave a record of the descendants of Japheth and the descendants of Ham. Now you notice of all those names, you never hear anybody who the Israelites come from, right? You don't hear Abraham, you don't hear Arphaxad, you don't hear any of them, right? So you when it comes to the sons of Noah, Ham and Japheth, you can categorize them as Gentiles. Okay, those that come of them are Gentiles. They're non-Israelites. It says here, unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. So now these are the descendants of Shem. And one of these men, right, or of one of these men, is where the chosen line continues, who would later on be known as Israelites. Okay? Now, these are Hebrews. Okay? They're Hebrews. But just because you're a Hebrew doesn't mean you're a Hebrew Israelite, because you have Hebrew Edomites and Hebrew Elamites, right? And Hebrew Moabites. But that doesn't mean that they are Hebrew Israelites. Okay? So now you have Elam, right? Of whom come the modern day Persians. These are Gentiles. You have Ashur, of who come the Assyrians. These are also Gentiles. Then you have Arphaxad. Now, from the line of Arphaxad is where the chosen line continues. So we're not going to rule out Arphaxad. But Lud and Aram, right, which are the Syrians, Assyrians, Syrians. These are two different nations. Assyrians, Syrians. Okay? These are also Gentiles. So we want to focus on Arphaxad. When you look through the chosen line, right, and you go from Noah, you would go to Shem, right, and all down the line to Arphaxad. That's who we would continue following. All right? Everybody else, Gentiles. Now it says here, and the children of Aram, which are the Syrians, you have Uz and Hol and Gether and Mush. It says, and Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber. Okay, so this is the line we're following now. All right, the line that's continuing the line of the chosen. It says, and unto Eber were born two sons. So now we gotta, we have two choices now. We're gonna have to follow one of them. because the chosen, when he had two sons, the chosen line was only going to go through one of them. All right. So unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, or Palag in the Hebrew, which means to divide. It says, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. All right. Now we know that out of these two sons, we're going to follow the line of Peleg. All right, because he's the one that continues on the chosen line. All right. So it says here, and Joktan begat Almadad and Shalef and Hazarmaveth and Jareh and Hadoram and Uzal and Dikla and Obal and Abimael and Sheba and Ophir and Havilah and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. So now you're starting to see where do all these other people today who we know as Gentiles, right, non-Israelites, where did they come from? Well, everybody that as we're following this chosen line, everybody that we're disregarding, all right, they're still people. They still have descendants, right? And those descendants are still on the earth, but they're not Israelites. All right. So this is showing you where everybody else came from after the flood. Right? Where did all these non-Israelites come from? It says here, and their dwelling was from Mesha, as thou goest on to Sephar, a mountain or a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. All right. So now let's move to Genesis, let me see, 11. All right, Genesis chapter 11. And we're just going to go straight to the point, because Genesis 10 gave us that lineage, but it gave us up to a certain point dealing with our Faxad, right? So now we want to continue down his line, right, past Peleg, and see, all right, let's keep going down this line until we finally arrive at, who we're looking for, right? So Genesis 11 and 10, it says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years and begat Salah. So we had Noah, Shem, Arphaxad, and Salah. All right. It says, and Salah lived 30 years and begat Eber. And Salah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years and begat Peleg. Right. So now we're back at Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. Right? So now we're continuing. All right, we're at Reu. It says, and Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived he lived 32 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. Now, this is continuing the chosen line. All right. It says, and Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So once again, now you've hit a point, right, where you have here it mentions 3 sons, right? Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Now, the chosen line can only continue through one of these 3 sons. And as we know, it goes through Abram. all right, whose name later on gets changed to Abraham, right? You have Abaram, which is Abram in Hebrew, which is exalted father, which becomes Abraham, right? Father of a multitude. And so the chosen line now goes from Terah through his son Abram. All right. It says, now these are the so now of Abram had brothers, right? Nahor and Haran. All right. And it says, now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in Ur of the Chaldees. So one of Abraham's brothers, or Abram at this time, his brothers died, right? Which means Lot was Abram's nephew, his brother's son. It says, and Haran, we read that, verse 29, and Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, whose name later on becomes known as Sarah. Okay? And the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. And Sarah or Sarai was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees. Now Ur is in what today is known as modern-day Mesopotamia, right now, or not modern-day Mesopotamia, but where that would be. It says, so they left from there, right, Ur of the Chaldees, to go into the land of Canaan, and they came on to Haran and and dwelt there. And Haran is on the way to Canaan, right? When you follow that path. It says, and the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So the point now is the chosen line is resting on Abram right now. All right. And as you continue to read the book of Genesis, you find out that Abram had more than one child. Okay. But, this is a point of controversy for a lot of people, right? They don't want to accept it. But when you follow the scriptures, the chosen line, although Abram had Ishmael, right, and so on, the chosen line, right, went through Isaac. Okay. Isaac. So you would continue tracing the chosen line from Abram or Abraham through Isaac. All right. And from Isaac, you had Jacob and Esau, and the chosen line continued through Jacob. The same way the chosen line did not go through Haran, or Abram's other brother, it went through Abram. So when it came to Isaac, right, and between Isaac's sons, it went through Jacob. Now, this line, this chosen line, are those that when we read in Genesis 6, they were known as the sons of God. That line of the sons of God continued through Noah, through Shem, right, through Arphaxad, Eber, all the way on down to Abraham, through Isaac, to Jacob. All right. And now Jacob's name got changed to Israel. Hence, his descendants were now known as the children of Israel, right? Or the children of Jacob. Same thing. Okay. Today we just call you Israelites, right? Or Jake. But the children of Israel are literally the children of the man named Israel, who the chosen line went through. Okay. Everybody else who is not a descendant of Jacob, right, or of his one of his sons, okay, is a non-Israelite, is a Gentile. But now you can see, hopefully, that at the point in the future where Jacob's sons are on the scene and they start to have children and so on and so forth, there are a whole bunch of other people that are on the planet. Okay, you have Edomites, you have Ishmaelites, you have Moabites, right? Ammonites, that come on the scene, Elamites, okay? And all these people go back to Noah. All right. But they, as you can see, the chosen line, when you follow the chosen line, you can now spot out, oh, okay, so these people also came from Noah and his sons, but they're not Israelites. So they are the Gentiles. All right. So to basically answer the question, right, that we started with, this is where the Gentiles came from. All right. They came from Noah, the same way the chosen line, the Israelites came from Noah. But Noah had three sons. And the chosen line didn't go through all three, it only went through one. Right? So the rest, the other sons, are the ones who the Gentiles came from as well. Now, that's why I specified, even though the chosen line went through Shem, there would come a point where he would have multiple sons. So then the chosen line has to go through one of them specifically. And those that it didn't go through, they would also have children, but those children would be non-Israelites. Okay? So that's basically that on that. And this is information that you should know, in terms of the book of Genesis, and being able to know where the chosen line, how it flows through, because the scriptures are centered on that bloodline, and people now try to include themselves in by eliminating or disannulling that concept of the chosen being through a bloodline. They try to open up the promise that was made to this specific bloodline. They try to open it up to the whole world. All right, but we know that that's false. That's not true. But that's what this plantation Christianity doctrine is wrapped around. So you got to know the line, the lineage. So when you read certain scriptures, even in the New Testament, you at least understand, okay, I see what's going on, you know. But anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Hopefully that answered the question, and hopefully that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kudash. And until next time, Shalom.